If you don't own a 3D printer, you could be easily mistaken into believing that this is just a toy. The world of 3D printing is so oversaturated by trinkets, fidget spinners, and 3D printed dragons that it's really hard for people on the outside to really see through the noise. This can lead a lot of people to believe that 3D printing is nothing more than a tinker's toy or just a simple hobby. But let me be very clear, these machines here are going to be responsible for the largest paradigm shift that humanity has ever seen to not only modern economics, but the democratization of ownership rights and intellectual properties. Sometimes the future is hard to see, but this technology is going to shake the very foundation of modern economics so much that before mid-century, there will be bills and legislation on the desk of every politician and head of state around the globe. With modern commerce, what tends to happen is if there is a problem that requires a solution, before that solution can be met, first the company must decide if the solution is profitable to their company. So what happens if a corporation decides that the solution to a problem doesn't meet the requirements to increase their quarterly earnings? Generally, what happens is the solutions that the consumer is looking for are disregarded since they don't meet these requirements. And this issue is only further compounded once a product falls into a niche category. The problem with this is you can find that almost every individual falls into some sort of niche here or there. It's quite obvious that with billions of people in the world that not everybody is going to love and want to use the same things. And this is one of the failures of corporate design in manufacturing, as it doesn't take the individual into account. But with 3D printing, this is completely changed because we no longer need a boardroom to validate the needs of every community and each individual. The libraries and available options are increasing every day with sites like Printables, Things, and Maker's World. And even when an individual doesn't find what they're looking for, it doesn't take long before that space is filled. And remember, in 3D printing, the absence of a product design is not a burden. It's an excitement for designers in the 3D printing community. As a designer, whenever I'm unable to find a solution that I'm looking for, I get excited about the opportunity to design a new product that nobody else has designed yet. And I know that other designers and individuals get really excited about this prospect as well. With 3D printing, it doesn't matter what niche you're into or what product you are looking for. Whether it's something for your kitchen, home gardening, tool shed, or whatever your niche may be, if it doesn't exist, there's a good chance that if you give it a week or two and come back, that you'll find something that has been added to one of these libraries. This is one of those cheap Galaxy tablets that anybody can realistically get almost anywhere. Now, you can find all sorts of mounts and accessories for this tablet on sites like Amazon and eBay, but I had a very specific use case. I had a client that needed this mounted to a drum rack, and that option just wasn't available, and it wasn't going to be available because the use case was so niche that it wouldn't be profitable for a company to address it in the first place. But with less than an hour of my time, I was able to come up with a solution for this and 3D print the part for less than $1, something that a modern corporation just simply wouldn't do. But even when a company does deem a solution profitable, often what ends up happening is the solutions for these products end up being little more than garbage. The name of the game is the max amount of profit for the least amount of effort. And that's incredibly evident when you look at the mounting options provided for these DeWalt batteries. Scrolling through Amazon or eBay or AliExpress, you'll see real quick that the companies that provide solutions for wall mounting these batteries aren't passionate and don't really care about the product itself. All they care about is their quarterly earnings. But what happens when you democratize manufacturing and then hand these problems over to people who are passionate about the products they use? Handing this process over to the individual can not only increase the quality of solutions provided to end users, but also the availability on the global stage. These DeWalt battery mounts being the perfect example, as one individual sitting in front of his computer was able to do something that several multi-million or even multi-billion-dollar corporations weren't able to achieve, as all they are throwing out is cheap knockoffs of knockoffs to barely address the solution that users are looking for. And when talking about the individual designer versus a corporation, we can even point to a situation where a single designer was able to outperform the solutions provided by a corporation that is worth multiple billions of dollars. With a simple iPhone dock that was so well designed by Scott Ujan that it completely outperformed any of the docking solutions that were provided by Apple. So well designed to the point that it went completely viral almost instantly. Now I have a problem that needs addressed, and currently there's no solution for it. But by the end of this video, that solution will be freely available online for anybody with a 3D printer to download and print. There are several solutions available for people who are looking to store their screws or other parts, but none of those solutions are options that I'm happy with. And this is why the democratization of product development and design is so important. I was looking for a solution that fit my use case, and I know there are other individuals out there who are also looking for the same type of solution. I designed this box because I want to be able to just reach up and grab my screws off the wall, with a lid to make sure that my screws are secure, as well as a cutout where I can drop the tab in from any screw case so I can easily identify what screws I'm grabbing. And with 3D printing, I'm able to design and manufacture this part at home without ever having to step foot into a boardroom and ask for approval. And there's one other very important distinction that I should make about this. This part is impossible to manufacture through most modern manufacturing techniques, as this cannot be injection molded. Whether you love them or hate them, there's one thing that 3D printed dragons have made abundantly clear. This being that modern industrial manufacturing can't even begin to touch the capabilities for design decisions for 3D printing. It's even more obvious that techniques like CNC machining and injection molding simply can't compete when you look at companies pouring millions of dollars into engineering-grade filaments and other 3D printing processes. And 3D printing is becoming so capable that every time you get online, you're greeted with new videos like, I 3D printed my own boat, or 3D printing a rocket, or 3D printing my own computer case. So if you're a consumer and you don't have a 3D printer, I would highly recommend looking into one. But even more so, if you're a designer and you're currently not designing for 3D printing, you need to seriously consider what our future looks like. I would bet my life and everything that I own that the future that we will live in will be decided based on the decisions that designers make today. All you need to impact the world is a cheap 3D printer and almost any garbage laptop. Right now, this technology isn't perfect, and it can sometimes be incredibly frustrating. But keep in mind, where we are today with 3D printing is the worst it's ever going to be. This technology is only going to get better and better and increase in capabilities. I've witnessed this situation not once, but twice before. I witnessed it with the revolution in home computing during the 80s and early 90s. And then I witnessed it again with the revolution in telecommunications technology in the late 90s and early 2000s. Let me stress that we are still just getting started. The 3D printers of today are nothing more than the Commodore 64s or the 486 or the Motorola Razrs of those revolutions. We have yet to even see the equivalent of multi-core computing, the Apple iPhone, and the Googles of the 3D printing industry. It's not a question of if 3D printing is going to radically affect the future that we are going to live in. It's a matter of when. But if you're still not convinced, go ahead and bookmark this video so you can come back and tell me that I was right.